You ever watch a movie and think, wow, these two must get along like family behind the scenes? Yeah, not this time. What started as a feel-good film turned into full-blown courtroom chaos. I'm talking lawsuits, leaked texts, late-night apologies, and even Ryan Reynolds jumping in with petty jabs that nobody saw coming. And here's the wild part. This isn't just Hollywood gossip. This is real. Reputations are getting shredded, careers are on the line, and no one, not even Deadpool himself, is playing nice.
Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni cases likely won't settle before trial, and this is according to Justin's lawyer.
Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni were supposed to bring a best-selling romance to life. Instead, they might have created the messiest off-screen drama Hollywood's seen in years. Trust me, you haven't heard the full story yet. And what's coming next? It might just flip everything you thought you knew. Let's get into it.
She filed her motion to dismiss today, and according to the documents, she says Justin's actually violating the law by filing his lawsuit against her because it's all being done for revenge.
This was supposed to be Blake Lively's big moment. A fan favorite book, a lead role, a powerful team behind the camera. She even handpicked Justin Baldoni to direct and star. Seemed like a dream combo, right? Wrong.
A spokesperson for Lively said, "It's a painful reality that the actress is not alone."
What kicked off as a passion project turned into a passive-aggressive war zone before the cameras even stopped rolling. Behind the scenes of It Ends With Us, things went from professional to personal real fast, and not in the cute rom-com way. We're talking eye rolls on set, whispered arguments, creative clashes, the kind of stuff that never makes it to the blooper reel. Sources say their dynamic flipped almost overnight. Justin was trying to keep control as the director, but Blake? She allegedly wanted more than just the lead role.
I just wanted to start the fire and run as far as I possibly can.
Rumors started swirling that she was angling for creative control, editing choices, script rewrites, even direction. And the moment that power tug-of-war started, the entire production shifted. But that tension, that was just the spark. Because what came next would ignite a fire Hollywood's still trying to put out. Then came the moment no one expected. Blake Lively dropped a legal nuke.
She's brought the suit, and he's got to defend himself. And there's some very serious allegations being made against him and Wayfair for harassment.
She filed not one, but 2 lawsuits against Justin Baldoni. The accusations, harassment, emotional distress, and a serious hit to her career. She claimed the set of It Ends With Us wasn't just uncomfortable, it was a nightmare. Unprofessional behavior, late-night arguments, and a working environment so toxic, she said it left her emotionally wrecked.
Then she asked him herself to play Ryle in the movie, and things were great until Blake Lively, right?
And she didn't stop there. Blake's legal team said the fallout from the movie damaged her image, cost her jobs, and turned her world upside down. Allegedly, she lost wages, brand deals, and peace of mind, all because of what went down during and after filming. In her words, Justin didn't just cross a line, he bulldozed right over it.
Like, when you combine it all, it's enough to make you like completely crash out on how, I guess, delusional that these people are.
Now, Hollywood's sweetheart was no longer the picture of glam red carpets and perfect press tours. She was at the center of a legal firestorm, and whether she was fighting for justice or just control, people started picking sides. But just when it seemed like Blake had the upper hand, Justin fired back. Hard. And what he brought with him? That's where things really start to spiral. So Blake came out swinging with her lawsuits. But then she did something that got everyone talking. She begged the court to keep her private text messages hidden, specifically the ones between her, Ryan Reynolds, and other A-list celebs. And not just hidden from the public, sealed entirely. No leaks, no mentions, like they never existed.
Some of this is getting kind of interesting. There's been some more gossip, some more discussion, but we did get some more information from Justin Baldoni's lawyer, Brian Friedman.
Why? Because according to Blake, the messages were so explosive that releasing them could cause irreparable harm. Not just to her, but to her entire image. Now let's be real. This isn't about some awkward group chat or an inside joke gone wrong. This is Hollywood. Secrets here are currency. And if you're willing to fight this hard to keep them locked down, people start asking, what are you hiding?
Ruin someone's life or falsely claim sexual assault, ruin that person's life, and that person should just lie down and take it. There's nothing can be done about it. It's absolutely insane.
Her team claimed that Justin might leak the texts to sway public opinion, but that just made the whole thing even messier. If the messages are innocent, why go to war over them? And if they're not, what's in them that's worth risking a court battle? People started wondering, were these texts just gossip? Or could they actually shift the entire narrative? Either way, Blake's move didn't stop Justin. In fact, it only fueled his next play. Because if she wanted to keep things buried, he was ready to dig everything up.
I want men, first of all, I want men to stop asking the question, why did women stay?
Yeah.
Right? I want men to take accountability. I want men to hold other men accountable.
Blake might have thought she could control the narrative, but Justin Baldoni wasn't about to let her write the whole story. Just when the public started leaning in Blake's favor, Justin flipped the table. He filed his own lawsuit against her, accusing her of defamation, coercion, and what he called a full-blown attempt to hijack his film. But that wasn't even the wildest part, because Justin came armed with receipts.
The complaint claimed Baldoni's countersuit is a profound abuse of the legal process that has no place in federal court. It also called out Baldoni and his co-defendants' bizarre theories about the actress's intentions.
Out of nowhere, he dropped a late-night voice note he allegedly sent Blake during filming. An emotional, nearly 7-minute apology for a heated rooftop argument. In it, he says, "I'm really sorry. I effed up." Short, raw, and loaded. Some people saw it as a moment of vulnerability, a genuine attempt to make peace. Others, they called it a strategic play, something designed to show the court and the world that he was the bigger person, that maybe, just maybe, he wasn't the villain after all.
This law, I understand why the law was done, but when you think about it, like, you can just, this is how people can get ahead. They can just threaten somebody and say, I will claim that you tried to sexually harass me if you don't do what I want, which is essentially what happened in this case, what I believe.
But let's not pretend this was a cute, let's move on gesture. This was war, and Justin was using every tool he had to prove he'd been set up. Suddenly, the question wasn't just, what did he do? It became, what is she trying to hide? And if that voice note shook things up, Ryan Reynolds was about to send it through the roof. Just when you thought it couldn't get more dramatic, boom. Ryan Reynolds jumps into the mess like it's a deleted scene from Deadpool.
Spinning. I believe that they are going to be able to prove in court that this was personal Ryan Reynolds versus Justin Baldoni.
While Blake was battling it out in court, Ryan decided to get creative. Enter the character Nice Pool from Deadpool 3, a painfully sweet, over-the-top, syrupy, soft guy who just so happens to share some oddly specific traits with Justin Baldoni. Coincidence? Yeah, no one's buying that. Fans instantly clocked it as a low-key roast. Nice Pool wasn't just nice. He was annoyingly nice, smiling while being completely self-centered, trying to win people over with fake charm. Sound familiar? Justin's team sure thought so. They claimed Ryan was using his Hollywood clout to humiliate him, turning him into a punchline while he was still trying to defend his name in court.
You know, he is suing for defamation, extortion, and basically, in layman's terms, shady business practices.
According to Baldoni's lawyers, Reynolds wasn't just being shady in scripts. He was allegedly pulling strings behind the scenes, pressuring agencies to drop Justin and backing Blake in what they called a full-blown smear campaign. Now, we're not just talking lawsuits and leaked voice notes. We're talking Hollywood power moves. Because if the guy behind Deadpool is mocking you on screen and allegedly messing with your career behind the scenes, how do you even fight back? But that's the thing. Justin wasn't backing down.
Why is he suing them?
He was ready to expose everything. And what came next? Let's just say, Blake wasn't the only one with something to lose. At this point, it's clear. This was never just about one bad movie set. It's about who gets to own the story. And in Hollywood, that's everything. Justin Baldoni says Blake didn't just accuse him of harassment. She tried to take over the entire film. Behind the scenes, he claims she pushed for edits, challenged his direction, and wanted more creative control than she was ever supposed to have. To him, this wasn't about safety or justice. It was a calculated power grab. But Blake's side? They're telling a totally different story. Her team paints her as a woman standing up for herself in an industry that still doesn't take these kinds of claims seriously enough. She says she was pushed to her limit and had every right to speak out, regardless of the fallout.
He told us that Justin Baldoni claims she tried to take over his movie because she has a history of saying, okay, I'll be the star, but what I secretly want to do is direct it and edit it and produce it.
Now here's where it gets messy, because both sides are claiming to be the victim. Justin says his career's in ruins, His reputation's been torched, and he's lost work because of Blake's accusations. Meanwhile, Blake says the emotional toll has been massive. Lost sleep, lost deals, and constant public scrutiny. And all of it boils down to one thing: who's telling the truth? Or maybe more importantly, who can sell their version better? Because in this industry, the truth doesn't always win. The better story does. And that's exactly what makes this next chapter so dangerous. Because now, the media's running with it.
On Blake Lively's claims that she was allegedly harassed by this guy when they shot the movie, It Ends With Us, a film about domestic violence.
Just when things were already spinning out of control, the entire story hit the small screen. A UK documentary titled He Said, She Said, Blake Lively versus Justin Baldoni aired. And it didn't just stir the pot, it straight up flipped the table. Suddenly, this wasn't just a courtroom drama, it became a full-on public spectacle, with new voices, new angles, and enough behind-the-scenes tea to drown a publicist. The documentary laid everything bare: accusations, counterclaims, that infamous rooftop fight, and even the emotional fallout on both sides. It played like a Netflix thriller, except it was real. Real lawsuits, real reputations, real consequences. And the public? They ate it up.
And that what in fact happened was Justin didn't harass Blake. Blake was interested in wresting control of this movie away from Justin, who was the director and the producer. She was just an actress in it. And used threats and coercion and bullying to do it.
Social media went into absolute meltdown. Within hours of the documentary dropping, timelines were flooded, group chats were lit, and the hashtags, they weren't just trending, they were everywhere. Justice for Blake, Baldoni setup, He Said, She Said, Twitter, TikTok, Reddit, everyone had an opinion, and no one was holding back. People weren't just watching the story unfold, they were participating in it. Some doubled down on supporting Blake, calling her courageous for speaking out, especially in a male-dominated industry that still struggles to take women seriously when they come forward. They praised her for standing her ground, for calling out behavior she felt crossed the line, and for refusing to let Hollywood sweep it under the rug. To them, she wasn't just defending herself, she was making a statement for every woman who'd been silenced on set. But then, the tide started to shift. Others began to see Justin Baldoni as the underdog, a guy who got pulled into a storm he didn't start, a man trying to make a meaningful film, only to have it implode under the weight of fame, egos, and off-screen drama. For some, the leaked voice note, the lawsuit, and the backlash felt like overkill, a sign that maybe this wasn't just about justice, maybe it was about control. Suddenly, people weren't asking, what happened? They were asking, who do I believe? And that's when things got really messy. Because it stopped being about facts. It stopped being about court documents and evidence. It turned into a digital tug-of-war, one side trying to protect a legacy, the other trying to save a reputation. Every clip from the documentary, every leaked screenshot, every vague tweet or resurfaced interview was being treated like it held the key to the truth. You'd think it was a true crime case the way people were dissecting body language, tone of voice, eye contact. And just like that, the court of public opinion didn't just join the trial, it took over the courtroom. Now, every legal move is being judged in real time. Every public statement is treated like a confession, and both sides are fighting battles on two fronts, one in the courtroom and one in the comment section. And here's the scariest part. In today's world, it's not always the judge who delivers the final verdict, it's the internet. But while everyone's busy choosing sides, they're missing the real story. Because this feud, it's rewriting the rules of how Hollywood handles its dirty laundry. And the ripple effects are just getting started. By now, it's clear. This isn't just some celebrity spat. This case has become a mirror reflecting Hollywood's biggest flaws: power struggles, unchecked egos, and the fine line between accountability and reputation warfare. Blake Lively's accusations have reignited conversations about what really goes on behind the scenes. The Me Too movement is watching. Directors are watching. Studios are quietly revisiting their contracts, trying to figure out how to avoid becoming the next front-page scandal. Meanwhile, Justin Baldoni's fight has sparked another kind of conversation, one that's far more uncomfortable, but just as necessary. What happens when someone says they've been falsely accused? What do you do when the story doesn't fit neatly into hero versus villain? When both parties insist they're the ones who've been wronged? Justin's camp claims this isn't about justice, it's about destruction. They've labeled the accusations as targeted, calculated, and meant to ruin his reputation, not protect anyone. In their view, this isn't a legal case. It's character assassination, broadcast to the world before any verdict is ever reached. And whether people believe him or not, this mess is dragging the industry into a conversation it's been dodging for years. What happens when both sides claim to be the victim? When one person says they were harassed and the other says they were set up? When both are public figures, both have platforms, and both are losing something? There's no script for that. No PR handbook that covers the gray area between trauma and retaliation. And then there's the part no one really wants to talk about, the aftermath that hits long after the headlines fade. Careers. Because in Hollywood, perception is everything. One rumor can get you dropped from a project. One viral clip can erase 10 years of credibility. Studios don't wait for court verdicts. They move on to the next safe bet. And in a scandal this messy, no one walks away clean. Justin's directing deals? On pause. Blake's casting opportunities? Under a microscope. Even Ryan Reynolds is catching backlash in corners of the internet that used to worship him. This isn't just about who's telling the truth. It's about who still gets to work after the dust settles. And in a town where image is everything, surviving the fallout might be the biggest battle of all. Producers are hesitating. Projects are stalling. Blake's star power is undeniable, but her name now comes with headlines. Baldoni, once rising behind the camera, now has a cloud hanging over every meeting, every pitch, every casting decision. And Ryan Reynolds? Let's just say not everyone's laughing at Nice Pool anymore. The truth is, this case could be a turning point, not just for Blake and Justin, but for the entire entertainment industry. Because Hollywood's always been good at hiding its mess behind polished PR, carefully edited interviews, and contracts filled with silence clauses. But this feud ripped the curtain down, loudly. Now the world is watching. Studios are watching. And so are the people who used to stay quiet because they thought speaking up meant losing everything. So the question becomes, will this scandal push the industry to finally face its darker corners? Will it lead to real transparency, stronger protections for actors, and actual consequences when boundaries are crossed? Or will it just teach celebrities to hide things better, to play the game more strategically, keep the receipts locked down, and make sure the drama never leaks past the trailer? Because if this case proves anything, it's that public opinion is a weapon, and once the narrative starts spinning, even the most untouchable stars can fall. And whatever happens in that courtroom, one thing's crystal clear. This stopped being about Blake and Justin a long time ago. It's about an industry built on illusion, now being forced to face reality. It's about fame, power, ego, and what happens when the image Hollywood has worked so hard to protect finally cracks wide open.